Now, here we are, about 33 hours into the fast. A little over, actually. This is not just a checkpoint. This is a turning point. Because right here, motivation begins to fade. Hunger may be knocking on the door and excuses are getting louder. But tonight I want to spend some time and want to flip the script. Excuses may be shouting, but proof shows up and proof shouts louder. Proof is what I call your receipts. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about, those little pieces of paper that we get. That we get at the grocery store or when you go to the store. I'm talking about evidence, proof, the track record that says I've shown up. I've been doing what I need to do. I've done the work. I've already won right here, and I've done it before. That's your receipt. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight as we go through our episode and go through our show tonight. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am so excited that you are here hanging out with us. If you have questions as we go throughout this show tonight, go ahead and drop those in the comments because I want to make sure that we get to those and that we answer the questions that you may have. We've got some good things that we're going to be looking at tonight. I've got my monitors, I've got my reports. Let's go ahead and let's hop over there. So I've got my monitors right here so we can see what's been going on with my blood sugars. And of course, right below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we will take a look at to see what's been happening over the last several days. For those of you who are here, welcome, whatever platform you're joining us from, Twitch or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, of course, Facebook, and then here on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, and a special shout out and welcome to our Accelerator members who are out there. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight as we move through this space of becoming healthy. And then if you're here because someone invited you or you saw our content at your church, at your doctor's office, you saw me at one of the health fairs that I've been at, I welcome you as well. Special shout out to Atlanta Berean from Atlanta, Georgia, for the Riverside Chapel, folks in Nashville, Tennessee, and then, of course, the Magazine Street Temple Church in Louisville, Kentucky. And wherever you are, I want you to go ahead and drop that in the comments because I want to say hello to you wherever you're joining us from. Drop your city, drop your state, drop your country, because I know we have some folks that are joining us from other countries. So glad that you are here. I'm so excited to see our community members who are hopping in, and a special shout to those of you who saw our show today. Well, not just those who saw it. If you are here and you have been fasting, you ended your fast today, right, at 24 hours earlier today. Kudos to you. Shout out. And let me give you a hand clap. Because you have taken charge of your health, you've taken charge of your life, and you've made a decision that you're going to do something different. So kudos to you. And then, of course, those of you who started today, I'm excited for you as well. We're going to go ahead and tomorrow, when we do our check-in, and give a shout out to you as well. And then those who are starting later in the week, as we move through this space, kudos, kudos, kudos. I am now at 33 hours into our fast. Those of you who joined me, congratulations. If you are fasting with us this week, go ahead and drop a yes in the comments. Go ahead and drop a yes in the comments because we want to make sure that we give a special shout out and special attention to you. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's hop into our discussion as we look at blood sugars, as we look at what's been going on with my numbers. Just one point, if you're coming to us new for the first time, make sure you get over to the YouTube channel. There is a playlist that's there, and it says Start Here. So if you want to know what do we talk about, what are we doing, what's the reason for what we're doing, or I want to jump into what's going on so I can get those metabolic benefits, I can improve my health, I can reverse my diabetes, lower my blood sugars, get my blood pressure lower, get my cholesterol going, get rid of my fatty liver, and all of those things, you want to get over there and you want to hop into the Start Here playlist. That's where you want to go. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugar. So 33 hours, and my monitor has been beeping at me all day, y'all. It's been beeping at me all day because my blood sugars have been low. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what that is saying right now. And this is what we're looking at first is my Libre. So here's what my Libre says, and you see my blood sugar right there. Right now it says 54, right? 54. And if I scroll down right about here, you'll see that is my graph. And you see starting early this morning, or earlier today, so this is about 12 hours, by the way. So about 9 o'clock this morning, it went from white, which is that section that you see over there, and it dropped below, out of the white, and it started being red. So that means that it was below 70 starting early this morning. And if I put my finger on that graph, and scroll across, you'll see what those numbers have been over the course of today. So we started out up here, 70 early this morning, and then dropped into the 60s, low 60s, into the 50s there, dropped back into the 50s and then 60s, and it kind of straddled that 50-60 line until it got down into the 50s, and then kind of just stayed there for today, right? So for the remainder of the day, starting this morning about 9 o'clock or thereabouts, we've been in the 60s, 50s to where we are right now. Okay. What I love about this, report is I can actually go in here and I could look to see what's been going on with my blood sugars. Say my time in range over the last 7 days, and you'll see there it's 85. And then down below, you'll see 15%. So 85 for 15, that's 100. And so I'm in target 85% of the time, but 15% of the time I'm low. And those lows correspond to the lows that happen when I'm fasting. Okay, so put those two numbers together and we get 100% of the time that we're either in target, right here, 85, or low, and that's the 15%. If I go to 90-day, you'll see here I'm in target 86% of the time, and then I'm low 15% of the time, once again corresponding to in target being in the normal range, well, what's considered normal range, and then also being low down here. Getting out of this report, I can actually take a look and see what my average blood sugars have been. And you see in this line, I have an average of 85 over the last 7 days. And down here, it actually breaks it out into the different times of the day. So you can see what those average blood sugars have been. And you'll see for me, my average blood sugar is actually lower in the evening. And you see there at the end, compared to what it is in the morning. Going back here, I can change that to 90 days. And my average for 90 days is 89, and once again breaking it down into different times of the day. So I love looking at this graph because it gives me the ability to do that. Now, let me get out of this, back to our main graph, and then let's go ahead and take a look and see what my Dexcom report is saying. And so this is a Dexcom G7, and by the way, the Libre that I was using is a Libre 3 Plus, Libre 3 Plus, and this is Dexcom G7. And right there you see my average blood sugar, or my current blood sugar, is 97. If I go to my 24-hour period down here, and now let's go ahead and let's scroll through and see what the number is. Now remember, the Libre, actually let me do 12 hours first. So the Libre tends to be lower than the Dexcom, so we'll see that here. And so if I put my finger, you see here we started out at 120 12 hours ago. And the Libre said we started out in the 70s. And then kind of scrolling through, we're in the 100s, low 100s, 100s, 100s. I'm looking at this graph down here. And here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon into the 100s, 100s still. and it didn't dip down and stay below 90 or below 100 until late in the afternoon. 80s, 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 104, 95. Right, there we are, 103. And then right in here, popped up to about 117 and then back down. If I look at the 24-hour period at that same graph, so we started out earlier here, and so it's 24 hours ago, low 100s, and then right here is what I call the toothpaste effect. So we see that popped up right there. So why don't we do this? Let's go ahead. And so we see that these numbers are pretty different from each other, right? So one is saying 50s, one is saying 90s. Let's go ahead and let's take a look and see what my monitors are saying, right? Compared to what these CGMs are doing. Let's go ahead and take a look at the monitor. So I've got my monitors over here. I've got a Libre, well, not a Libre. Let's go back here. I've got a Contour, and I have a Keto Mojo. Let's go ahead and pull out here, and let me do one more thing here really quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And so I need to get a brown one. That gives me my blood sugar. A blue gives me my ketones. I need a strip for the Contour. And then I need a couple of Lancets. So I'm going to grab 2 of those just in case. As you know, sometimes that gives me a little trouble opening up that one. So let's go ahead and let's get a strip out here for, this is for the Contour. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? What do you think ketones are going to be? So right now at 33 hours, get that out and open this up so we can get that one out. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the ketone as well, as we normally do. I'm going to move this down a little bit so we can get a clearer picture of that. And here is my ketone strip. So I'm going to just open this and leave it off to the side. So I'll just leave it right there. Okay. And then grab one of these Lancets. And let's get back so we can compare what these are going to be. All right. Actually, let's do this first. Let's go ahead and get this. Get the finger stick, and ow, that does hurt a little bit. And okay, so that's a pretty good drop. So it wasn't a brisk drop, but enough that we can get this started, enough that we can get the Contour started. Not sure what happened here. It's like my Keto Mojo didn't quite work. Hold on a second. Let's get that into the Keto Mojo. I didn't hear it beep when I put it in, so okay, there we are. And let's go ahead and get this one going. All right, there we are. So 76 is what my Contour is saying, and 78 is what the Keto Mojo is saying. And let me move this down, so actually move it over a little bit there, right there. I got a glare from my. Well, all right, can't fix that right now. And so right here, you'll see that my my Dexcom says 108. Okay, and if I go back to the Libre actually says 55. So all of them right now are pretty different from each other. These two guys are consistent with each other. The Libre is low and the Dexcom is high. Okay, so let me go ahead and make sure I get a drop of blood because I need that to get the ketones going. Otherwise, I'll have to stick myself again. I think I may have talked a bit too long, so hopefully, let's go ahead and get a drop. Let's see, is that enough? Is that enough? No, it's not enough, y'all. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll get another one out. And let's see. Get in here, get in here, get in here. And I think I'm going to have to, yeah, give me a second. I need to grab another, need to grab some more ketone sticks. Hold on a minute. All right. And so we've got a bunch of ketone sticks. Let's go ahead and get So I've got a whole pack of them. Go ahead and open some of these up and get them in there. Get these off to the side. All right, let's go ahead and open this one up. Get that in here, and then I'll need to just stick myself again, y'all. But that's okay. All for a good cause, right? Good cause. Here we go. So, poke, 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 poke. Ow, ow, ow. And there we go. All right, so that's now a good drop. So get that started. Okay, so what do you think the ketones are going to be? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And ketones are 0.6. All right, look at that. Let me shift around here for just a minute. All right, so 0.6. So let's go ahead and let's pull that into our app. Let's go ahead and let's pull that into our Keto Mojo app and get that synced up. All right, so scanning. Let's get this one off the screen. So we're just left with this guy. And actually, let's go to this view. Okay, so it's pulled it over. And so let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about this. And we pull it over here. So ketones, when we talk about ketones, ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So when we talk about when we're fasting with the intention of getting into ketosis, when we're doing a ketogenic diet, when we're doing a fasting mimicking diet, and that one's a little iffy, what we're looking for is we're looking for those ketones to be 0.5 or higher. Because when they're 0.5 or higher, that means that our body, in order to produce ketones, had to be burning fat. Because remember, ketones are the byproduct of burning fat. So beta oxidation is what it says, okay? Or what it is. And so when I see ketones, I know that, hey, my body is burning fat. Now, in our instance, in our case, we want to see ketones when the blood sugars are low. Right now, looking at my numbers, so if I take all the numbers, so I got the Libre saying that I'm 50s, I've got the Contour and the Keto Mojo saying I'm in the 70s, and then I've got my monitor, my Dexcom saying I'm in the 90s. So if I take an average of that, I'll stay in the 70s, and say my blood sugar is in the 70s. So that's in keeping with what I would expect. At this point in my fast, my ketones would be 0.6. So it is in the nutritional ketosis space, and we will see what that does into tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to do something a little different with my toothpaste. So I'm going to see if we can blunt that toothpaste effect, and so we can get a true measure of what those ketones are. But we'll see, okay? So let's take a look at the numbers. So we're looking at these numbers right here. So 7.2 is what the GKI, and so GKI is a ratio of glucose to ketones, right? So GKI, so we want the GKI to be low, we want the ketones to be high, right? So 0.5 or higher, and we want the glucose to be low. Now, when we talk about getting glucose numbers like the ones I have, one of the points I want to make is making sure that if you are on medication that's additionally driving your blood sugar down while you're fasting, you want to make sure you're talking to your healthcare provider about what you need to do to adjust that, number one. Number two, you want to make sure that you are monitoring yourself, monitoring your body, so that because the body will talk to us and say, hey, we need you to not fast right now. We need you to go get something to drink. We need whatever the body's telling you, we got to be attentive to that. Because sometimes if we're not paying attention, we're not hydrating those low numbers, we don't want it to cause a problem for us, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. We did a show a couple weeks ago where we talked a little bit about that. All right, so ketones. So when I look at the graph for this, and let's do that. Let's go back over here. And so let's talk about, so the turquoise line that you see, the dashed line, those are ketones. And then the tan line, those are my blood sugars. So you'll see that when my blood sugars are high, right up here, right, that peak, when blood sugars are high, ketones are actually low. And as the blood sugars now begin coming down, then my ketones start going up. And so here we have blood sugars that have gone from up here at 127 down to 78, and the ketones went from 0 essentially to 0.8, 0.6. Remember, ketones and insulin can't exist in the same space for long. Once the insulin is there, then the ketones have to go away, bye-bye. Which is why we talk about the foods that we eat coming into the fast. Come back on Friday when we do our complete review of fasting, and we'll kind of go through that. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's going on with my Dexcom Clarity Report as we've been kind of walking through the last several days. So right here, if I look at this at 14 days, 14-day average, my blood sugar is 116. I'm in target 98% of the time, range being anywhere from 70 to 180. My GMI, or the glucose management indicator, is 6.1. Now, this is a different number than the GKI that we saw. The other one was the glucose-keto index, or glucose keto index. This one is the glucose management indicator, and it is a surrogate for what I would expect my A1C to be. So if I got an A1C, I would expect it to approximate this number, okay? If I look at this number, look at my average over the last 90 days, we'll see that my average is 115, and we usually say 100 to 120. I'm in range 98% of the time, range being anywhere from 70 to 180, and then my GMI is still 6.1. Okay? All right. Now, this is exciting for me because I haven't looked at this, but let's look at what's been going on with my blood sugars since we started fasting. So we started fasting yesterday, right about here. All right, so when we did our show, and if you have not seen that yet, go back and watch so you can see what I ate, and then you can track what happens to my blood sugar based on that food. Okay, so start fasting right about here, and let's take a look and see what happens to my blood sugar. So here we are. Let's go here just to be safe, right? So 107. So 1 hour later, we're in the 120. So we went from 107 to 121. Okay, so that's what 21 points. An hour after that, we're at 126, so we're starting to come back down, and 128, so we're back up, and so it kind of fluctuates. 130s, 126, here we got up to 141, right, and then started coming back down, down into the low 100s right there, and then 110s as we got into the rest of the evening, and so here we are now. This is about 11 hours, maybe 11 hours since I started the fast at 108, and then coming into the next morning, right, continue in the low 100s, 90s, sometimes down to 80s once there, kind of scrolling through, and now we're getting into that morning, and right about here is that toothpaste effect, right? So we went up from 109, look at that, up to 137. Right, 125, 135, 127, and then back down as we got down into the low 100s, and then scrolling down into where we're finding ourselves now, into the low 100s, 90s, and the kind of skirting that 100 line, and then finally over the end of the day coming down into the low 100s and kind of staying there until we popped up right about here. What's that? Just a little while before we came on. That's probably me rushing to get here. Okay, and then back down to 89 where we are right now. Now, I want a good point here is if you are watching, if you've been monitoring your blood sugars with monitors, with the continuous monitor, which I encourage everyone, if you're interested in your metabolism, if you're interested in how different things affect your metabolism, you want to make sure that you're monitoring, and you will see some fascinating things on how food, exercise, stress, sleep, all those things, what impact they have on your blood sugars and ultimately on your metabolism, because that's the key, right? What happens to our metabolism. All right, so let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members now. I see you guys out there, so let's hop back up here. And so Gian says, hey, doctor. Hi, LLG. Jennifer saying, howdy all. Gian says, I was planning to do a 48-hour fast, but abruptly broke fast when She was in 26, 27 hours. I was negotiating with myself. Plan to restart 48 hours again. Yeah, yeah. So Gina says, negotiate with my. I'm negotiating most of the time. Jennifer says everything works. Gian says, Jennifer, how is your meal? How does it look? Gian says, Doctor, how do I non-negotiate with myself? Yeah, that's a very interesting one. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight as we get into our show. Gian says she's from South Korea. Jennifer, intermittent fasting. Today was a 4-hour window. Yesterday was 6 hours eating window. Tomorrow will be a fast from now until Friday. Awesome, awesome. Hand clap to both of you, Gian and Jennifer. Till Friday, so 24 hours. Gian says, great, Jennifer. I usually do one meal a day. And Gian guessed at 0.6 for my ketones, and it was 0.8, so just a little bit higher than what you said there, Gian. Glycogen is gone so fast, or glycogenolysis now starts yet. So yeah, so we're in the process where my body is actually going to get fat, right, from my fat cells and burning that. And so Steve says, hello, friends. Steve says 0.3, so Steve was guessing 0.3. Gian says, hi, Steve. Gian says 0.5. Steve, how are you? Fall down in 48 hours. Steve's your OMED every day. Yeah, so Steve normally does it's essentially a 1 meal a day. He says, normally I do, but am 33 hours into the fast. I hope to do it at least 48 hours. Come on, Steve, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. You got this, man. Jennifer says, howdy, Steve. Gian says, I got, was it 0.6 or 0.8? I think it was, wasn't it 0.8? Or no, it was 0.6. You're right, Gian. You got it. Great, Steve. Steve says his ketones are 2.0. Congratulations, Steve. Great job, Steve. Great number. Are you always in ketosis, Steve? And Steve, actually, and his wife, they tend to be in ketosis a lot of the time. Cornelia says, hi, everybody. I ended my fast today about 15 hours. Great progress, everyone. It's so cool to see. Yes, definitely. And congratulations, Cornelia, to you as well. Gian says, hi, Cornelia. Thank you, sis. Encouraging. Hey, sis. And Steve saying, yes, Gian, 1 meal a day keeps me in ketosis. Awesome. I love that. All right. So that is amazing to see what's going on in the community and the benefit that everybody's getting as they're walking through this space. And as we talked about, we look at these things that are going on in our bodies. We are trying to improve our bodies. We're trying to improve our metabolism. And as I said, there are these receipts, right? So we're not talking about those little things that you get when you go to the store, but we're talking about the evidence that we have that was already there, that we've done this before. And so, you know what's going on in your body. So that brings me to what we're going to be talking about tonight. This first thing we've got to settle tonight. That's the first thing we're going to settle. What do I actually mean when we talk about receipts? So let's go ahead and let's hop over there as we do that right now. Okay. All right, so the very first thing that we want to settle tonight is, what do I actually mean when I talk about this idea of receipts? Because when we think about receipts, when I use the word receipts, everybody thinks about going to the grocery store or going to a store and you purchase something, and when you purchase it, you give them money or you give them some bartering system, and they give you something that says, okay, you paid. Proof. When I was a kid, my grandfather and I was interested in ham radio. I was a nerdy kid, but interested in ham radio operating. And so my grandfather said, to get you started, hey, we're going to get you a CB radio. And so we went to the store, and back in those days we had, I'm going to call the name, but we had these stores out there. Radio Shack. Yeah, we had Radio Shack. I'll say it. And so you'd go into Radio Shack, and there was all this amazing stuff that you could get, right? And so I saw this one CB radio, and I said, I want that one. And so my grandfather said, hey, we're going to get it. So he went and he talked to the guy and came back. And I thought I was getting the stuff to take home. And he said, well, we put it on layaway. And so the guy wrote out this little piece of paper, and it says, hey, you take this, and when you pay for it, then it's yours, right? So we came back, and next week we came back, give some more money, give some more money, give some more money. And at the end of it, right, so we gave him money, and he handed me the CB radio, and he handed me a piece of paper, which was a receipt that said, hey, this is proof now that this thing that you got was yours. And so when we talk about where we are in terms of our health, that's what I mean. Where proof is more than numbers. Proof is more than numbers. It's more than that thing that I got, right? So I got the piece of paper that said, hey, this is what you paid for. And when we hear proof, when we hear the word proof, we often think about numbers, the CGM graph, right? And in fact, we do that here. I show you my graphs. I show you my numbers. We think about the scale, right? And the scale, the numbers moving down. We went down 2 pounds. We went down 3 pounds. When I'm in my office, when people come to visit me, we hand them the weight graph, right? We're tracking their weight to show them, right? The fasting app that you may be using is showing you, hey, you did 33 hours like we are right now. You did 24 hours. You did 48 hours. And yes, those are receipts. But proof is more than the numbers. Proof is it's the stories of change, the stories that you have developed, the stories that you are garnering, the stories that you are living and not even paying attention to. Right? So one of those stories could be the time that you walked past the pantry and didn't stop. I'll put my hand up, right? So that happens. It happens to me as well. Walk past the pantry. A lot of times I go and I'm tempted to go in, but yeah. So that's a story. That's proof. The night you journaled instead of snacking, right? We talked about the non-negotiables. The night you said, hey, I'm going to write whatever's going on in my head, I'm going to process it in a different way other than the buffering that I normally do. The morning you woke up clear and energized, that's proof. That's a receipt. Those are receipts too. Proof that you're not who you were last week. Come on. Excuses only talk about the failure. It talks about how you feel right now. But proof tells the bigger story. I am changing. In fact, I've changed. I am capable. I'm moving forward. It's no longer like it was before. That's proof. So when I say receipt, I mean proof. The kind of proof that excuses can't argue with. Because remember that inner critic? The inner critic is coming. It's going to remind us of the time when we didn't, or the time that we couldn't, and the time we didn't last. Oh, I was going to fast for 48 hours, but I only made it to 24. Oh yeah, the inner critic is coming. But the proof is that you made it to 24 hours when you didn't do that last week. Right? So once you've recognized that proof isn't just a number, but it's the stories, it's the stuff that's going on, the growth that we're getting, the benefit that we're seeing. So the next question is now, how do we actually use these stories when excuses show up? What does that really mean? So let me show you how you make the switch. Right? How do we make the switch? The excuse proof switch. So listening to a conversation that we all sometimes face. Here's the excuse. You'll never keep up with this. That's the excuse. The proof is, I'm already 33 hours in, y'all. That's my receipt. The excuse says, one little snack won't hurt. And the proof said, the last time I did that, my sugar spike, my CGM is my receipt. I don't have to do that because I have proof that I can do it. The excuse says, oh, you're missing out. Everybody else is having fun. And the proof says, no, 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 no. I'm investing in my health. My journal is my receipt. My I can journal, my confirmation journal, my what is my win for this week journal. You see the switch? You don't argue with the excuse. You hold up proof. The proof says, it's not like that anymore. Excuses predict failure, but proof proves progress. Every time you make that switch, every time you have that conversation, every time you refuse to argue, every time you refuse to negotiate, you're rewriting your brain to believe the evidence over the excuse. Because y'all, we got evidence. You've been walking with us. You've been strength training with us. You've been fasting with us. You've been here improving your mindset. You're more scheduled. You're working on your mindset. That's proof. Now, here's where it gets powerful. When you start making that excuse to proof switch consistently, something new begins to grow in you. And that is confidence. That's confidence. And so let's talk a little bit about what that means. Right? So proof builds confidence. It is the fact that I have been doing this, that I have done something different from I normally do. Confidence doesn't come from hype. And it doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from evidence. It comes from receipts. It comes from proof. Every receipt you collect is a brick. One by one, you build a wall of evidence that you can stand on, that you can grow on. One day, you look back and you say, I've done this before. I can do it again. That's confidence. Not imagined, not borrowed, but built. Not wishful, but seen. Confidence builds on proof. And confidence built on proof is unshakable because it's not hype. It's history. And your history says to you that you win. When I had that receipt in my hand, it doesn't matter. If anybody said to me, that thing is not yours, guess what? I got proof. In fact, when something happened to it and I took it back to the store, the guy said to me, hey, do you have your receipt? Do you have your proof? I said, yeah, here it is. And they did something in there, fixed it, handed it back to me. That was a long time later, but okay. And confidence is amazing. But we don't just want to talk about it. We want to practice it. That's why I want to give you a simple drill that you could do even just now as we walk through this switch, right? To the mid-fast drill to collect your proof. Here's your mid-fast discipline drill. Before you go to bed, at night, I want you to write down one receipt from this week. One receipt, one proof, right? So remember, we're talking about proof. We're talking about evidence. We're talking about the substance that we stand on. Maybe it's about your fasting hours. I did 24 hours. I did 48 hours. I did 16 hours. And normally I couldn't do 16, but I did 16 hours. Maybe it's your fasting. Maybe it's walking 3 days in a row. or lifting 3 days in a row, or maybe it's doing your 5-minute routine, your strength circuit. It is proof. Maybe it's saying that or saying that I'm not going to have a soda. I'm not going to have, somebody in the office today was talking to me about drinking a Fanta and seeing blood sugar spike up. Maybe it's saying no to the soda. Maybe it's showing up here for this episode right now. Maybe it's somebody invited you and you said yes. That is proof. That's your proof. So tomorrow, when excuses knock, and they will, you can pull it out, your proof, your receipt, and you can say, I've already proven it. I can do this. Discipline isn't hype. Discipline is history. Discipline is showing up with receipts. Discipline is showing up with proof. Now, here's what most people miss. The proof you collect today doesn't just help you in the moment. It actually builds momentum for the future. It produces benefits going forward. Proof points to the future. So your receipt that you get doesn't just show where you've been, but it actually points forward to where you're going. Every proof you collect today is a deposit you cash in tomorrow. If you fasted for 33 hours, you can fast for 34 hours. Future, past, future. If you walked 1 mile, you can walk 1.5 miles. You can walk 1.25 miles. You can walk 1 mile plus 1 step. Notice what's happening. The past is setting you up for the future. If you said no once to the soda, you could say no another time. I had a lady who told me that she drank on an average day a case of sodas. 1 case. So 12. Is it 12? Yeah. And we said to her, hey, drink 1 less. And she said, oh, that's not going to do anything. I said, it's 1 less than you're drinking now. That's proof. Proof is a savings account of health. The more you stack, the more unstoppable your momentum becomes. We've talked about the compounding effect. That's why I tell people, keep your receipts. Log your receipts. Write them down, not just as proof of progress, but as an investment in your future. And if that wasn't big enough, let me stretch this even farther, this idea of proof into the future. Your proof isn't just for you. Every receipt that you collect sends ripple effects into the lives of the people around you. So the ripple effect of proof. Ripple effect of proof. Very interesting. Here's something people forget. Your receipt doesn't just change you. They ripple outward. When your kids see you turn down soda, when your kids see the change in you physically, that's proof they'll carry with them for years. When your spouse sees you choose to walk, that's evidence of inspiration. When your coworkers see you enjoy, see your energy shifts, that's a receipt that speaks and sparks curiosity. And when curiosity comes, they ask questions. You may not know, but they're watching you. Your proof becomes their proof. Your receipts becomes someone else's evidence that transformation is possible. So don't underestimate the receipts that you're collecting. Don't underestimate the proof that you're collecting, the evidence. You're not just building health for yourself. You're writing evidence for your family, for your friends, and maybe even the community around you. When you show up, you don't have to say anything. You know why? Because they're watching and they see the proof, the receipt, the evidence that you're building for yourself, but also building for them. And at some point, they're going to say, what in the world are you doing? Right? What are you doing? And how can I be a part of what you're doing? Because I see the changes that you have made in your life. I see the non-negotiables. I see the receipt. So I no longer have to argue with the inner critic. I just pull out my evidence. I just pull out the proof. I pull out my receipt. And that allows me to be in a space that my brain doesn't sometimes take me. But I have got proof, y'all. I've got proof that I can do it. I've got proof that I am able to function in a way that my brain sometimes doesn't think I can. And it doesn't think I can because my inner critic is always trying to convince me that what I did is not real. It's trying to convince me that I don't ever succeed. But you know what? I do. I succeed. And I'm so excited that I get to walk along this space with you and get to walk on this journey of excitement, of change, of growth, of reversal, and for metabolic writing. So, what's your proof? What's your receipt? Let's do it together. So now I want to bring it back to you, because this isn't just about my examples, right? I want you to be in the process of recording your proofs. Drop some of them in the comments right now. I want to hear from you. What proof are you carrying this week? What proof have you garnered this week? What proof do you have this week that you are changing, that you are changed, that you're not the same person that you were last week? What proof do you have? At 33 hours, excuses may be loud, but the receipts, your proof, they're louder. Receipts are your evidence. They're your history. They're your confidence. They're your ripple effect. So remember this, excuses predict failure, but proof predicts progress. And if you are making progress, you're on that path to being better. You're on that path to growing. You're on that path to reversing your disease. You're on that path for metabolic improvement. And after all, that's what we're doing. It's not just about the number. It's about the lives that we're changing, the lives that are getting better. It's about the richness that comes when we're able to do the things that we want with our families, with our friends, when we're able to connect. And that's the beauty of where we are. So at 33 hours, people say, why do you fast for 33 hours? I'm fasting 33 hours because I'm getting proof. I'm building a repertoire. I'm building evidence. And I'm seeing those changes. I'm seeing those benefits in my body, on my numbers, and in everything else. So, hey, this is amazing. I love this. Let's go back and let's say hi to some of our community members. I see you guys are chatting over there. Let's see, where was I? Let's see, we stopped right. Yes, Gion, Oma MAD. Let's go back. Gion, Steve says, my wife makes some delicious sugar-free desserts. Yes, she does. I've tasted it. Gion said, what is your sugar-free dessert? Creme brulee? I really wonder. Let's see. Doing well. Doing well. College for some and regular school for others. Oh, because it's just Jennifer's answering. So Jennifer, how are your grandchildren? And so grandkids. And so Jennifer's answering that. Wow, already in college. 4 in college. Wow, great. And Gian, so Steve's talking about the creme brulee. So delicious, by the way. Yeah, yeah. All right. So as we talk about where we are here in the space, you know, I say that I teach, I think, in Triple E Formula for Success. I educate, I empower, and I encourage. In fact, when I'm thinking about the things that we are going to do, the process that we're on, the information that we're sharing, it's in Triple E Formula, right? Educate, empower, encourage. Education is important. Education is great. It helps us to change our mindset. It helps us to see things from a different perspective. There are concepts that we have that don't fit with how things really are. And so we break through those boundaries, we break through those borders, we break through those lenses, right? So the lenses through which we see things affect how we behave. And so our goal is to help us with our lens, so that as we look at our health, understanding how the body works, understanding how food affects the body, understanding how sleep and exercise affects the body, understanding how stress affects the body. All of that is important, because if we're going to do what we need to do for the body, we need to understand how it works and how the things around us affect it. That's that self-awareness, the emotional intelligence, that's being present, that's being mindful. All of that comes from education. Understanding that I have a growth potential. I'm not fixed. I don't have to stay where I am. I have unlimited ability, and I could live a limitless life. That's education. Education alone, though, does not solve the problem. I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you watch the videos. I love the fact that you're commenting. I love the fact that you maybe have it on your shelf, or you have it bookmarked, or you have a tab to it and you go back and you listen to it. That's amazing, but empowerment comes when you infuse what you've learned with behavior. And so the tools that we're learning, fasting, the health action plan, we talked about the non-negotiables, right? One non-negotiable for food, one non-negotiable for movement, one non-negotiable for mindset. Those are tools to help us implement and apply the things that we're learning. Don't just let this be something that you listen to. I want this to be something that you are implementing. So we just gave you an exercise there. Sit down with your journal and record what's one receipt, one proof, one piece of evidence that you have garnered this week that you are making a decision about your health. Write it down. And then we encourage. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And encouragement comes from what we're doing right now. This community that you are part of, that you are growing, that you are helping to enrich, that's the empowerment. When you show up and you tell your story, whatever the story is, about the successes you're having, how your weight's gone down, how your A1C is better, how your doctor took you off of medication, how you were able to connect with your grandchildren, how you were able to get out in your garden, how you were able to wrestle with the grandkids, how you went to visit your daughter who got married and helped take care of your grandkids because you were now able to move and you can go visit, that's a story. Because when people see that story, they say, well, if Jennifer could do it, if Jiyon could do it, if Bowie can do it, if Kenty can do it, if Cornelia can do it, if Steve can do it, Stephen's wife can do it, if Pamela can do it, if Teresa can do it, if they can do it, I can do it too. And then also share the places where you're having some challenges. Because the challenges that you're having are not unique to you. Everybody is having challenges. And the way you deal with yours may be the exact answer that I need to deal with mine. So tell your story wherever you are. whatever fasting period you're at, whatever your blood sugar is, whatever weight goals you're having and weight challenges you're having, right here, share that story. Because Limitless Living says, I'm not allowing anything to prevent me from doing what I need to do. Nothing from outside or nothing from inside. I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, and my best plan. That's the goal. I don't have to go get better and come. I improve as I am here. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And if you are tired of being on that hamster wheel, if you're tired of one step forward and two steps back and weight going up and weight going down, make sure you get over to our website, dwainwoodemd.com, and join our accelerator program so that you can implement now and install this version of you as a permanent fixture so that you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. You want to make sure that when those grandkids come or the grandkids want to do something, that you're able to do it. You want to make sure that when that young lady, that young man is graduating from college or getting married, that you are around and you're healthy for that. You want to make sure that when they give you that golden retirement, whatever they give you at your job, and you're finally, after putting all those years in, are ready to spend some time with the family, doing the things you guys have always dreamed about, that you can do that because you are healthy. Our goal is to keep you alive as long as possible and help you to be as healthy as possible. That's what we're doing. And I look forward to walking this path with you, walking this journey with you as we continue doing that. Now, I want you to go write down your proof for tonight. Carry it with you tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow when we do our check-in on Thursday for 56 hours as we talk about rules that write results. Rules that write results. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon as we do our check-in. That'll be 48 hours. And then tomorrow night at 56 hours. On Friday, we'll have our complete review of fasting. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast successfully? And how do we break the fast? And you get to see what I eat for the first time in 72 hours. Saturday night, we'll have video from the vault. And then on Sunday, we'll have This Week in Review at 6 a.m. right here on the channel. And Central Time, by the way. And on Monday, we'll be back as we continue our Play Your Own Game transition, this bridge that we're doing into finishing strong as we get ready to launch our new series coming up in a few weeks. Make sure you join us. Come on back for Dwain Woode MD Live right here. Good night, everybody. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here we educate, empower, and encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life, and we'll see you in the community, and we'll see you in these spaces. Good night, everybody.